This week's goal has been target practice. Now, I'd say I've always been a fairly decent shot with my aim, but Carl has told us it wouldn't hurt for us to improve. Nick isn't as good due to his lack of experience with firearms. I know in one post I detailed him and me gunning down a bunch of creatures that were trying to attack formaggio's. However, they were large and in close proximity, thus making them easier to hit. We're going to need better aim since they won't be the only threat that we'll have to deal with when we get back to town. Granted, we don't want to shoot any living, fully conscious people, but if we have to, so be it. Sometimes it feels as if the universe is just out to get me. I mean, of all of the unicorns that could have come into the facility, one of them had to be the one with a grudge against us. The unicorn nearly reached me, and I almost shat my pants. At the last moment, the sound of gunfire became audible, accompanied by his body being riddled with bullet holes. At the very least, I have to give him props for his determination. Even as he was bleeding out, he still tried to kill me. He fell dead right before me, and I looked past him to see Carl and Nick holding assault rifles. I really wish we'd stop cutting these kind of situations so close, I told them, breathing heavily. Never mind that, Carl replied. We need to get going, so take this. He gave me a handgun. We need it to reach the exit. Unfortunately, there were still guards, not to mention harpies and other unicorns running about, so doing this would not be an easy task. We tried to be stealthy, only to be immediately spotted by some harpies. They came flying at us, but luckily I was quick on the draw. I shot them both in the head and they fell to the floor. When about 10 or so more appeared, my confidence boost went out like a snuffed candle. We tried firing at them, but they moved so fast we only managed to hit a few of them. Next thing we knew, our weapons were ripped from our hands, leaving us defenseless. What kept us from becoming mincemeat, ironically, was Blue. We thought he had gotten killed. As it turned out, he was only knocked unconscious. He came to and shot the harpies as soon as he saw them, unknowingly saving us. As you can imagine, he wasn't too thrilled about us tricking him. Upon noticing us, he aimed his gun only to get knocked away by a unicorn. Quick, grab some key cards, Carl instructed. We did so, snatching them off some dead guards along with their weapons. Then we ran to the exit and used one of them to unlock it. Naturally, those patrolling didn't take too kindly to 3 prisoners running about, not to mention the fact that they most likely received reports of what we did. Blue was so furious with us, we heard him order us to be shot on sight over the speakers. We were met with a barrage of bullets that we only managed to avoid by running around a corner. This is no good, I said. We can't keep running around like this. I know that, Carl replied, but I have an idea. We need to reach the prison floor. Easier said than done. There are guards crawling all over the place. I think I might have a solution to that. Follow me. Carl led us to a door which turned out to be for the bathroom. Why'd you take us here? Nick asked him. Just trust me. Nick, stand in the left corner. Pete, you stand in the right corner. After we did, Carl cleared his throat and opened the door. Hey, someone come help me. I just saw those bastards head into the bathroom, he announced in a very gruff voice. He then got into position alongside me. 3 guards entered the bathroom, rounding the corner. The moment they did, they were met with the butt of our guns. They staggered back, hitting their heads on the walls, knocking them out. Help me take their clothes off, Carl ordered. Nick and I gave him a puzzled look. So we can disguise ourselves with them, he explained. Oh, we said in unison. From experience, I can say putting on body armor is not easy. It's a wonder it didn't take me and Nick even longer to do it. Man, this shit's heavy, Nick complained. Well, it's the only way we'll blend in, so act natural, Carl told him. Hang on, I said. How will we be able to tell who's who? Carl thought for a moment and then ordered us to take off our helmets. What are you doing? I asked him. Our equipment came with combat knives. Using his, Carl scratched some distinct markings into our helmets. There, now we'll be able to recognize each other. Good thinking, Carl, I said, but what should we do with them? I pointed to the unconscious men on the floor. We dragged them to the sink and cuffed them to the pipes. Then we gagged their mouths with their shirts and left the bathroom. You three, report. We turned to see a guy who was the definition of intimidating. He had to be at least 7.5 feet tall with monstrously broad shoulders. Just from a glance, I knew this guy probably got anxious whenever he wasn't carrying something heavy. We thought we saw them head into the restrooms, but when we checked, it was empty. We think they may have doubled back to throw us off. Damn. Well, keep looking. There's no way they can escape this place. He turned to walk away when his radio crackled to life. Blue's voice sounded over it. Mikey, we need you down here right now. Shit's gotten really bad. Really fucking bad. Upon learning this giant of a man's name, I had to hold my breath to keep from laughing. I imagined Carl and Nick needed to do the same. That quickly became easy due to the shitstorm caused by what we heard next. What's wrong? One of those damn unicorns escaped the greenhouse. It shattered the ferry containment. It did what? Hearing worry in such a big dude's voice was beginning to make us nervous. We have no idea where they are now, Blue told him. Growling became audible in the background. I got a sinking feeling from listening to it. Oh God, they released the fog. We could hear what sounded like hissing of steam. This was followed by agonizing screams. Shit, Blue yelled. We're going to try and make it to the upper floor and seal it off. You do the same. The radio cut out. All right, ladies, you heard him. We need to get moving. I wanted to ask him what exactly the fog does, but was afraid that would blow our cover. As it turned out, I wouldn't need to. One of the areas we passed contained a glass bridge that connected different sections of the base. While running, I could see the fog below us. It was a massive silver cloud with golden sparkles. Some guards, along with prisoners, were trying to escape it. Unfortunately, most weren't fast enough. I guess the fog poisoned those it touched somehow. Well, that assumption was in the ballpark. What it actually did was far more horrifying than I could have possibly imagined. At first, I wasn't even sure what I was seeing. It just looked like people freezing suddenly and then crumpling to the floor. Then I saw it happen again to some prisoners. They too froze, and I could see them being dissolved alive. It only lasted a few seconds, but judging by their expressions, I bet it felt like an eternity. No way in hell we're letting that stuff get anywhere near us. If things got real bad, we knew we could use Mikey as a meat shield. Now, as you can imagine, running with heavy body armor was tiring me out pretty quickly. Not to mention how hot it was getting. By the time we were across the bridge, my face was drenched in sweat. I hate the heat, so this was like torture to me. What I wouldn't give for a glass of water right now, I thought, sweat stinging my eyes. A thunderous boom made us stop. What now? I asked. Mikey didn't reply right away. Instead, he seemed to be listening. Something was coming toward us. We knew it wasn't a unicorn because its steps sound lighter, and yet it was strong enough to knock down thick steel doors. Get ready, Mikey told us as my adrenaline spiked. We got a fight on our hands. I'll have to end this post here since I'm going to have to do some training tomorrow. Later, everyone.